Jonas, a couple days in, how's it going so far?
I've enjoyed it so far. Just learning and just being around the guys, getting to know the coaching staff on a, both in football and on a personal level. So I think it's been really good for me just coming in.
What's the overload been like these first couple of days? Because a lot of new information that guys are getting and trying to process.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the information is kind of you've learned it already, but now it's kind of just learning the terminology and kind of the way they do things, the way they play these techniques. So overall, I don't think it's too much. I think it's a good balance, and they do a really good job of teaching.
Yeah,
So.
when you hear guys say, terminology, how different is it or difficult is it to snap out of the old terminology because you're used to hearing it a certain way and now you're trying to learn it a new way?
Just when learning something, just being repetitive when you're learning it, and just constantly reminding yourself, and not just looking at it once, but looking at it on your own time as well. So that's a super important step when you're trying to just replace some of the old terminology.
When you look at this roster, how excited are you? I guess not just to play with Tyrann Mathieu and Justin, but the opportunity to play at safety because that's a position that you can get on the field with this team.
I think they have a lot of guys who are talented here, and I think that's a great opportunity, for me to learn, and also for me to compete. So definitely looking forward to being around some of those guys, and yeah.
Were you a Matt? I mean, a lot of people were. Did you know about him? Were you a fan of his playing that position, kind of coming up?
Yeah, no, I've definitely watched him and some of those other guys as well. So being able to see some of the things they do well, and just how they approach the game, how they learn, how they prepare, all those things, just taking up understanding the role I'm in, coming in as a rookie, and just having that humble mindset, just being ready to learn.
Cool.
Did you play against Jop at Louisville?
Yeah.
Or your impressions, Tom?
He was a good quarterback. I always hated playing against Louisville because it's like I always felt like, they were always projected to beat us, but I just knew we always had their number. But in terms of what he could do on the field, just really stretch the field out, could make any throw, and then you had to be careful because if you kind of left him alone and let him use his legs, he's actually a pretty good athlete too. So just his ability to scan defenses, look off safeties, he does a really good job.